These people are going to engage more with your content because you've drawn on a feeling that they have. Welcome back to the Brand Is You podcast with me, Robyn Savage. Okay, if you haven't heard yet about the Brand Is You Academy, you gotta hear. So we have got a brand new monthly subscription. If you are ready to continuously grow and evolve and build your brand and business, this is the place you get to do it, okay? Inside the monthly subscription, you get access to my workshops, workbooks, you get access to a full 1-day content club creation day where you create 30 pieces of social media content in a single day. You also get a live Q&A with me for hot seat coaching and a whole bunch of live riffs, teachings, and a community for you to collaborate and brainstorm with. So the Academy is now open. I am so excited. It took us a lot of thought and work and intentionality to create this space. So I'm super stoked to be bringing it to you and opening the doors. You can score your first month inside the Academy at half price, so $44 for all of the things that I just mentioned. The workshops, one of them is already live in there for you. The community is banging, and I can't wait to welcome you to that space. So the Academy is open for enrollment, registration, and what else have we got going on? It is a good time to get really, really anchored. I know that for me, January felt like an entire year. Like an entire year was lived in January. And I am coming out the other side of it. I know we are like, while I'm filming this, it is already 3/4 of the way through February or halfway through February, somewhere in there. And I am really just starting to feel my feet hit the ground. Like I am landing back on planet Earth, and I'm really, really excited for the momentum, the sense of renewed energy, and just this feeling of like, let's fucking go. So if you can resonate with that, like maybe January felt a little bit sludgy, felt like you were moving through a bit of molasses, then welcome. Welcome to a new week, a new day, a new moment in time for you to begin again and to keep moving towards your vision. So today I'm going to talk to you about a really powerful strategy that you can apply to your brand messaging. So any form of messaging, any form of content that you put out into the world, whether it's social media content, written format, on your website, it could be email marketing, it could be video content, so YouTube videos, Instagram stories, reels. This strategy can literally be applied to any form of your brand messaging. And we're going to talk about evoking emotion, okay? How to use emotion as a strategy to build your personal brand. And I'm going to talk to you about how to do that, all right? But first of all, I also want to talk about why it's important, okay? First and foremost, emotions make people feel something. When your brand can evoke an emotion in someone, you're actually creating an experience in their body, an experience that is going to help them recall something that happened in their past, or it's going to draw them towards a vision, a desire that they have for the future. So you have the power to evoke an emotion that can draw on or touch on a pain or want or a problem that your soul client is currently experiencing. And you also have the power to evoke an emotion of satisfaction, ease, happiness, and contentment. So really good brand messaging sort of does both, right? We say to our audience, hey, I see you, I get you, I feel you. And we say, this is what's possible to you. And we evoke this set of emotions that makes our audience feel seen, heard, and understood by our brand. And then we also evoke this set of emotions that shows them what is possible for them, what is potentially waiting for them when they choose to take action with your brand by purchasing your product or service, okay? Now, a lot of people in their brand messaging will focus on details, facts, statistics. They will deliver straight up information as if they are regurgitating it from a textbook, because this is what we perceive as value. However, there's this whole other world of value that is actually shared through emotion. So what we want to do is we want to take the fact, we want to take the education and the information and the stats, and we want to really amplify them or help them land by applying an emotional experience to those things, so that our audience isn't only learning and hearing the value, but they're also experiencing the feeling of it in their body, okay? And when they feel it in their body, it's going to be easier for them to remember. It's going to be easier for them to talk about with their friends. So now they're going to be sharing your brand and referring you to other people, because stories are felt and then remembered and easily passed on, right? And these people are going to engage more with your content because you've drawn on a feeling that they have. And feelings and emotions naturally provoke engagement. Okay, I am way more likely to engage on something that you've shared on the internet if it has made me feel something. So that's the strategy that we're going to talk about, and I want to give you some ways to apply this strategy to your brand messaging, okay? So first and foremost, you need to understand your audiences and your soul clients' current set of emotions, what they're currently experiencing, what they're currently moving through, what their current pain points are, their struggles or challenges are, and you want to understand what they're aspiring to become. You want to understand what they're dreaming about and what they're desiring for themselves, what they're yearning for, what their wants and needs are, okay? So when you understand this set of emotions, then you can start to speak to them. Now, the second step in this is really understanding which ones of these emotions, which particular set of emotions align with your brand, okay? So if you know that your soul client is feeling really bummed out about something, they're feeling really disappointed in themselves for not being successful enough yet, but your brand doesn't want to focus on the feeling of being dissatisfied and frustrated, then you're probably not going to talk to that emotion very much, okay? If your brand is wanting to really bring forth this feeling of excitement and determination and inspiration and motivation, then you're going to spend less time talking about the pain points and more time evoking the emotion of possibility, right? And so this is where you want to become really discerning in your brand messaging, okay? Which sets of my soul clients or my audience's current set of emotions do I actually want to instigate? Which emotions do I really want to exaggerate and evoke and speak to? And you're going to strategically focus on igniting and building that set of emotions in your soul client, okay? And you're just going to ignore the other emotions, knowing that they're there, maybe like touching on them every once in a while in your copy and content, but really not focusing your content or your messaging on those emotions that do not feel aligned with your brand, okay? So for example, if you're promoting a product or service that offers a solution to a problem, you may not want to focus on the actual problem itself. You may want to focus on creating a feeling of relief or satisfaction. So what comes on the other side of people buying your product or service, okay? If you're trying to inspire action in your audience, you want to motivate them, you want them to call on a feeling of determination, to evoke a sense of possibility, then you want to bring in the emotion of excitement, anticipation, and urgency, okay? So think about the way you want your audience to feel before you create content that evokes a certain feeling, okay? So number 3, wherever possible, use stories to evoke emotions, to get your point across, and to really help connect you with your audience, okay? You want to start using your own experiences, client experiences, things people have been moving through in your world. You want to start to share from a storytelling perspective rather than regurgitating dictionary definitions or stats from a textbook. Now, the reason that we want to use as many stories as possible is something that I touched on a little bit earlier, but stories can be really easily retold, right? Stories are really memorable for people because there are often parts in a story that we can personally relate to. And when we can personally relate to something, or when we can retell a generalized story rather than remembering a hard set of facts, right? It's easier for us to understand and to really tap into and engage with whatever it is we are learning, because we can really tap into it on an experiential level of our own. It creates this sense of relatability, of being understood, and then from that place we remember. From the feeling place we remember. It's sort of like having to remember, the multiplication table, right? Well, when your teacher creates a song around it and all of the numbers have names and they each hit a different note, and then there's a story about all the different numbers and how they multiply together to create new numbers, you're a lot more likely to remember that song and that story and the names and how the numbers relate to themselves, rather than just memorizing a whole table of numbers and how they multiply together. It's how we work as human beings. We feel feelings, okay? We remember facts. And I do not know about you, but my memory does not remember an entire multiplication table, okay? My body remembers a feeling, a sensation, and it calls on my past, or it calls on a certain feeling to help me remember something or help me identify what I'm learning now. So that is the skill that you want to start using with your brand messaging, okay? How can I take this fact and incorporate it into a story? That would be a really great question to ask yourself as you start to implement this strategy in your brand messaging, okay? Next, rather than sort of like flatlining with your copy and content, it's like ding, ding, ding. I'm just like sharing. Here's the details. Here's what I know. No. It's like, okay, let's actually breathe a little life into this. So you can breathe life into your valuable content by using descriptive words. Okay, so you can paint a picture for your audience that actually stimulates their imagination. You get them out of their thinking brain and into their feeling body, and all of a sudden they're activating this part of themselves that A, remembers something, like, oh yeah, I've felt that before, and B, is imagining a new possibility, a new sensation, a new opportunity for themselves to feel the way that they want to feel. Okay, so by using descriptive words, you're actually going to start to stir up these emotions that help your audience feel the way you want them to feel when they take action on your email and buy the thing. When they're holding your product in their hand, when they're engaging with the service that you're providing, how are they going to feel at that moment? That's the feeling that you want to tap into with these descriptive words. So you could actually start writing a list. I call it a brand vocabulary. You could start writing a list of descriptive words that apply to all of your products and services, and then you can refer to that list while you are writing copy for sales pages, emails, social content, whatever it is. And those descriptive words can actually become part of the foundation for your brand voice, all right? One of the really cool things that happens when you start to implement this and really use and lead with descriptive words in your brand messaging is that your brand actually becomes more of an experience for people rather than something that they read or something that they're trying to memorize. It'll be something that they actually experience because they had the feeling of it. It becomes more tangible. All right. The last thing I want to say about evoking emotions and using this as a strategy in your brand message is to appeal to all of the senses. So a lot of people forget that our personal brands aren't one-dimensional in the sense that we are just trying to get as much information out there as possible. We're actually trying to look at all the different layers of the human experience. How is my soul client, how is my audience going to engage with this piece of content? Well, they're going to engage with it on a much deeper level if you are activating more than one sense. So think of it this way, okay? Music evokes emotion, right? Color evokes emotion. Certain font types evoke emotion, okay? Certain facial expressions, body language, tonality evoke different sets of emotions. So you want to be thinking to yourself, what are the colors that describe and define my product and service? What are the sounds that are going to evoke the mood that I want people to experience when they read about my product and service, when they land on my website or my Instagram feed, okay? You want to think about the textures, you want to think about the different layers and looks of all of the imagery, all of the words, so that you can be creating almost an entire sensory experience for your soul clients and audience rather than a one-dimensional fact sheet. All right. So talking about the way that your audience is going to feel after they use your product or service, after they purchase it, is a really great way to get into the senses. Is a really great way to let go of those details like the how, the when, the what, right? Like come to my workshop. It's on February 30th. It's 1 hour long. You join on Zoom. You get the recording. Cool. Yeah, important, but not nearly as important as after this workshop, you will feel so clear on who your soul client is. You will know entirely who you are talking to, so you no longer second guess yourself. You will feel a sense of confidence in your brand messaging because you will finally have a very, very clear understanding of what your soul clients wants and needs from you in order to purchase, right? Like these are really tapping into that feeling body, and you are going to like activate your soul client and your audience on a level that is way beyond the details, all right? So think about the senses, okay? Think about how you can go beyond the fact sense, the information sense, and move into the feeling sense when it comes to creating copy and content and getting your brand messaging out there. So the latest workshop inside the Brand Is You Academy, which you have access to when you join, is all about your soul client, understanding what their current set of emotions are, understanding how they want to feel, understanding what they need to hear from you in order to buy, in order to take an action, understanding how you can communicate to them, understanding how they want to consume information, and how you can connect with them on a deeper level to inspire them to take an action. So if you're like really ready to up your messaging game and you're really ready to reach more people with your content, jump inside the Brand Is You Academy, where you will get access to the Soul Client Workshop. And this is going to really help you understand what set of emotions to be focused on evoking in your soul client so that you can start working with more and start attracting more of the people that you want in your world. So I will see you inside the Academy in the Soul Client Workshop. And I hope that this episode really inspired you to go a little deeper, right? To not just write a post or not just write an email, but to actually get intentional and really thoughtful about the feeling, the emotional elements of what your audience could be feeling and how that might encourage them to take the action that you want them to take based on their wants and their needs and how you can meet them. I love you so much, and I will see you back here next time on the Brand Is You podcast.